In a world where left is up and right is apparently wrong, do souls make sense of it all? Or at least have fun trying. Gear up, friends, for Chicken and the Dog. Welcome to another episode of Chicken and the Dog. I am the dog, and with me, as always, is the guy that never backs down from a fight, the chicken. What up, dog?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man, look, dude, week 8 of college football is behind us, and I'm going to tell you, man, God, I think, again, we say this all the time, man. What NIL and transfer portal has done to college football is it has almost leveled the playing field, man. We're down to so many. There's only a handful of undefeated teams now, man. And I can only see one team out there that has a path to stay undefeated. And I'd say that's Ohio State. But everyone else, man, it's no holds bar out there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more like the NFL, which I don't know. I don't know exactly where I land on that, just in terms of the free agent feeling about it. I still think that there's tweaking that they need to do with these NIL contracts to keep some of these guys in place longer than just a season or a good head cold, and they've moved on to another program. But in terms of the fact that you don't have to rely on an undefeated record as heavily as you once did to make an appearance in significant postseason versus the 6-6 just another bowl. I do like that part. So it keeps it highly competitive. It keeps teams like Nebraska at 5-2 in the mix right now. Stay tuned for a teaser in that one. But it does level that playing field. It keeps things a lot more competitive, I think.
It sure does, man. And look, we got a lot to cover. There's some big headlines out there. But I do want to, before we get into those headlines, let's talk about something that we haven't had in a few weeks, man, which is a dog bark, man. We got some dog barks to talk about, and because I think we have enough time to go through there. So on one of our shorts where we were talking about the Texas Tech and Arizona State game. All right. First and foremost, I want every Texas Tech fan to listen to Chicken and the Dog. We are not anti-Texas Tech Red Raiders. We're not. We just see how the landscape of college football is out there, and we thought, there's a chance that they're going to go down at some point. And so this guy says, I'll be back tomorrow to laugh at y'all for this pick.
Is he here?
He's not. He has not come back yet. Maybe he will. Maybe he's still sleeping it off. I don't know. That was his handle was ready. Rubik's Cube.
That's a tough one to solve there, Rube. I'm going to tell you, like you said, we're not anti-Red Raider. We're not necessarily pro-Sun Devil. There's just something about that Arizona State team that especially this part of the season, man, they turn into, the underdog, Rocky Balboa, if you will, in a heavyweight fight, and they come out swinging, and that's what they did yesterday. And as we forecasted, toppled Texas Tech. I still think Texas Tech is going to have a good season. This just felt like that game that they were going to drop, and they did, Rube. But let me say this. I didn't know we had any Texas Tech fans that listened to the show. So, Rube, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad that you're a listener, and I hope you stay one, and brighter things are ahead for your Red Raiders. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great year for Texas Tech, and it's unfortunate their starting quarterback was down. So he was out of the game. So, I think that played a factor in it, no doubt about that. Had to get new chemistry with the next man up. And I'll also say this about Texas Tech, because let me get through a few more of these comments because they're kind of hilarious. This one says, I'm tired of all the hate coming at Tech. They have dominated everyone they've played this year. Please show me with analytics, Tech is going to fall to Arizona State. Also, Tech played Arizona State with Scatterboo and won. That was JJ72751. JJ, let me just read a couple more real quick. Tech upset them last year without Cody K. Tech by 90.
I heard that before. We say that in Columbia a lot, too. Doesn't always work out that way.
No, that's not. I'm not a Tech fan, but this game is one I worry about for the rest of our schedule. I agree we're riding the high, and I think they're going to walk in there, and Arizona State going to lay down, and they're going to be in for a surprise. It's different when you're hunted and not versus the hunted. And I kind of agree with that in some sense. Now, I know Texas Tech is having a great year, right? And they are. I don't want to take anything away from that program and what they're doing in there and what that coach is doing. However, you're not freaking Ohio State. You're not Georgia. You're not Alabama. You haven't been doing this for years upon years. And now they all, all these fans believe that, Texas Tech, we now arrived. Look, man, y'all got a long way to be able to have comments like that, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. And as far as the 8675309 that wants analytics, look, we don't follow Texas Tech. We don't follow the Big 12. That is what they're still in the Big 12, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so we that's not our forte. Our forte is the SEC, and we kind of keep an eye on the top 25. So that's our exposure. So I can't give you analytics. Again, it was a feeling. It was not a feeling that this is the beginning of the end for the Red Raiders season. It was just a feeling that somebody's going to sneak up on them and they're going to drop one. And this felt like that game. So it was completely a feeling, and it turned out to be more than a feeling.
Yes.
And that's the way that the game went. I don't care that you beat Scattaboo last year. Like, whatever, dude. But to your point, being hunted and all this stuff, like, come on, guys. You're not there yet. You're on your way. It certainly looks like you're on your way to getting there. But you have to get there first and then stay there for a minute before, we're the hunted ones. Really? Really? Are you?
Yeah, listen to this guy that says they were hunted versus the hunted. This is funny. His handle name, I should have said this first, because this may have tweaked your comments just a little bit. Poppin' Creations.
I don't know where to go with that. If
what to do with my hands.
Right? If you are a former vet or special operator or something like that, salute to you, sir. Thank you for your service. If not, you got me all kind of baffled as to what hip hop group you follow. Whatever. Pop Smoke, I guess. Maybe they should have popped Smoke to get somebody in there to support them yesterday afternoon because they lost.
Now, you're going to love this handle on this next guy. His name is Bartholomew Mayonnaise.
Is one of my favorite. Bartholomew is one of my favorite names of all time.
What about his last name, Mayonnaise?
Well, hang on. I would never saddle one of my own children with that name, but just the sheer, you have to walk through this life with such confidence that I don't even think the chicken has, but you have to walk through this life when your handle is Bartholomew to go up and be like, listen, good to meet you. My name is Bartholomew. And then to follow that with mayonnaise, a condiment that some love, some adore. Some cannot live without. Others will run from you like the plague itself. Hats off to you, B-Dub.
Yeah, but let me tell you what his thing, and I don't have a problem with it per se. It says, if you like Arizona so much, you should put money on it. Well, we don't like Arizona that much. We just had a feeling. It was just a feeling.
It was just a feeling, bro. Don't please get off. Bart, if you're on the ledge right now, step back inside.
Yeah.
Let's not take it this far. I mean, it was a feeling. It was not, I didn't put any mumbo jumbo on you. There was no heebie jeebies or bad juju coming your way. It was just a feeling. If you've listened to the show more than once, you'll know I'm not a betting man. If I were, I'd be more destitute than I already am.
That's right.
I've got 4 children. I can't afford to lose money.
No, not at all. Hey, I was thinking about this. Bartholomew Mayonnaise. Texas Tech, obviously, is his team. I'm going to assume he's in the Texas Tech region unless he's Bob. And Bob lives in Texas, but a Virginia Tech. So, he could be Bobbish. I don't know.
Could be Bobbish.
But with the mayonnaise, do you think it's Duke's?
Well, I don't know.
I
I don't
doubt
know.
it.
I know that in the South it's a Dukes thing. I don't know how they roll in Texas,
It's not.
which is not the South, but that'll be a whole different discussion. Texas
Yeah,
is its own thing. And so I say that with respect to
for
Texas, right?
sure.
Like you're not Southern, you're Texas.
No, and I'm in Texas right now.
There you
And
go.
where in Georgia we put mayonnaise, in South Carolina, the Southeast, we put mayonnaise on our burgers. They put mustard on burgers here. I'm just saying.
I do both.
I do too. Now I'm getting hungry. There's that. All right, I got one more comment, and you're gonna love this one. Now I like his handle. It's Jimbo, then American flag, America.
America. Jimbo.
I don't like his comment because I think you're going to have a heyday with this one. You ready? LOL. Y'all are crazy to think Arizona going to beat. Are you ready? Are you sitting down, my friend?
I am, as a matter of fact.
An NFL caliber team.
First of all, had Arizona State rolled in to that game yesterday, what NFL caliber team in the state of Texas would have done any better than Texas Tech? I'm just saying. The Cowboys not having the best year. I don't think Houston's doing that fantastic.
No.
So let's draw back our statute of expectation. And I'm going to say this again. And listen, this is all very easy for us to do today because we do the forecast show and then we wait for the recap. This is not a live studio audience kind of a thing. In fairness to these guys or gals, I don't know. Maybe Jimbo is secretly a Jim Bet. We're coming at this after victory, after we know we're right. So before we knew we were going to be right. Now we know we were. So that's where we're coming from in this conversation. But if you were an NFL caliber squad, you would have squashed Arizona State before they got off the bus. You're not.
No. And I think there's only, and I keep going back to this team, man, but I think there's only one team playing right now that's playing close to an NFL caliber team, and that's Ohio State. Just playing great football right now, man. But
let's make that distinction too, because people get caught up in this, and we used to hear it all the time from Alabama fans, right? Well, the fanatics, Alabama fanatics, that Nick Saban and his Alabama squad could go in and they could beat, and they would pick a lower tier NFL team. They could beat a Cleveland Browns, or they could beat a Carolina Panthers, or whatever. No, they can't. Like those guys. That is the absolute cream of the crop of football players that are playing in the NFL, right? So as good as your team might be, and you might have some NFL caliber players on it, it doesn't mean that you have an NFL caliber team, right? NFL caliber roster from top to bottom. The worst NFL team is in fact an NFL roster top to bottom, right? Ask the guys that are playing Canadian football or the guys that are playing in the USFL or the XFL, whatever they're called this afternoon, right? Ask those guys that want to work their way into the NFL, right? It's different. It's a different animal. Texas Tech, I'm going to say it again for any Red Raider fans that are still listening. Jim Bob, Jimbo,
Ruby,
Bartholomew, Rube, settle down. The season's not over. You're not out of it yet. We just got done talking about the fact that one loss does not derail your entire year.
No.
You're still in the fight. You're still in the fight. Keep it coming. Let's move on to next week, shall we? You lost. Move on.
That's right. And look, man, I'm going to say this before we move on to the next breaking news, but we do have some breaking news. But I always say this about the players in the NFL, the players in the NBA. I'd even say the players in the hockey and Major League Baseball. They are the freak of the freaks. They are the freak of the freaks. There's nothing like them, man. Their caliber is so far above anything else, man. I mean, it's unreal. So I like what you said as far as, yeah, you're not an NFL caliber team. You never were. You never will be. Not all 80-something players that are on your team, right? So anyway, here's the breaking news. Billy Napier, head coach was the head coach of your Florida Gators, Audi 5000, man. They
They're
fired
out.
him today.
Yeah, there was buzz going around about that earlier this week. We didn't touch on it really because I know for myself, I was hopeful that with a win that could have stemmed the tide a little bit. However, in the era that we're in, and we've talked about it already in this show, it's an ongoing theme of NIL, transfer portal, boosters want wins now. And they translate the availability of players and the money that they're willing to spend with the idea that you're going to win now, right? And if you're not, you're out. Billy Napier somehow salvaged a year last year, came in with some hopes, not too high. I don't think the expectation for the Gators was too high coming into this year, but they have lived well below that expectation. And Napier is paying the price. The buzz earlier this week was to the athletic department. You don't get rid of Napier, don't count on a lot of money coming in. The checks won't be that big next year. And the athletic department responded and told Billy, hey, pal, love you, don't, whatever the emotional status was, it was sorry, dude, you got to go.
Yeah, and look, man, I think you touched it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we are in a different world, man, and unfortunately, money and the NIL is going to rule decisions like that, man. And as much as we were pulling for Billy Napier, and we were, man, we liked him. We thought he was a good coach. Maybe just had some bad luck, some bad things. Maybe he just wasn't that winning guy. I don't know. But we liked his character. We liked, how he presented himself, in there. And it just didn't work out. I heard that fans were chanting fire Billy during the game yesterday, even though they won, and we'll talk about that later, man. They beat the Mississippi State Bulldogs. But it's not a good look, man, when you've lost your fan base as well. It's just not good.
Well, and that's the sad comment too, is that's where Florida is now. We're talking, hey man, they beat Mississippi State because Mississippi State's having a good year, and Mississippi State's a program that was so desperate because of extenuating circumstances.
That's right.
Right. But so desperate to try and rebuild that they went out and got a head coach, and they are allowing him to build something. They're giving him time. They're not holding the expectation that we're going to be playing for the SEC championship this year, right? Like that's not the expectation in Starkville, Mississippi right now. However, even though things have declined in Gainesville, that still seems to be the expectation. And they'll temper it a little bit, but not a whole lot.
No.
Okay, we don't expect you to get us to the Natty this year, Billy, but next year, right? Or you're going to bring home a Heisman with Lagway this year, right? And when it doesn't pan out that way, well, we got to get this clown out of here. My question is, it's the University of Florida. I think that job still carries a little bit more significance than a Mississippi State, than a UAB, than a Virginia Tech, some of the other openings that are going to be out there. But who are you going to get? Who really wants to go to Florida right now? If you're a head coach out there right now, and I'm not talking about a James Franklin who's obviously available. I'm talking about if you're a head coach that in all likelihood, the Florida boosters and the athletic department are going to be putting on their list, right? Because I'm sure that there are probably 8,000 lists that the AD's got to sort through starting this morning. But if you've got to go through, who do you think's on those lists? They're big names. So of big names, who's going to go to Florida? If you think that it's Lane Kiffin, Gator fan, you are so drunk still. Like, start drinking coffee, bro. Come back to reality and join the rest of us, because Lane's not leaving his sweet gig for Florida.
No, ain't going to happen, man. And when you're talking about this, and I haven't really thought about this much, right, until you started speaking. I'm going to tell you a coach that's probably on a lot of people's radars right now. And I don't know if he'd leave or not, but Clark Lee out of Vanderbilt, man, he could find himself landing and I'm not trying to diminish Vanderbilt by any means. We like what he's doing. I mean, we pull for them, anchor down. We talk about that all the time. But you're talking about going to a Florida, a Penn State, something that significant. It's a step up from a Vanderbilt for sure. And I think Clark Lee might be on some people's radar.
He could be, but Clark Lee also strikes me as a guy. Keep in mind that he came from Notre Dame, right? Which is another school that holds academic standard in pretty high regard. To come to Vandy, which is another school that holds academics in pretty high regard. And I think that part of what he wants to do is not just have a couple of winning seasons. I think that he wants to build, a program that says, well, yeah, we got smart guys, but we also know how to win football games. I don't think that Clark Lee just doesn't strike me as the guy who's looking for the next great ship to jump to. Now, I could be wrong. Like money talks, and some of these big programs are going to have a lot of that throw around to the right candidate. And where does Vandy fall in terms of securing their head guy? But he'll definitely be on some lists for sure. But whether or not he's willing to jump, I don't know.
Yeah, I got a text yesterday from someone you and I both know. Will Rudd was on our annual golf trip. He was new to our annual golf trip this past year. And Smokey D, I got a text from him yesterday saying that he believes Vandy should be in the top 10, and the AP poll just dropped, and they are number 10. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. And he's like, I'm pulling for Vandy all the way to the national championship. I'm not saying they're going to go to the national championship. They're a good team. There's no doubt about that. But they are and Vandy's having just a special year, as they did last year. Had a good year last year. It's even more special this year. But look, man, let's real quick about Billy Napier. He's got like a 19.3 million. We'll round up to 20 just for money, math sakes, right? He's got a $20 million buyout. 50% of that has to be paid to him within 30 days. They got to stroke a $10 million check to him within 30 days.
So he's probably not going to have a problem getting out of his mortgage. He can sell short and be fine.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have an estate sale right now to be able to pay for stuff. I think he's fine.
He's not looking to share an apartment with Sam Pittman right now.
No.
They're going to be okay.
Him and James Franklin don't have to shack up. They're good.
That's right.
Look, man, so let's talk about the AP top 10, top 25, man. There was some movement in there for sure. Ohio State, number 1 still, not a shocker, not after what they just did. Indiana, number 2, not a shocker after Miami dropped. God, man, Indiana's playing great football. Ohio State got 60 of the 66 first place votes. That's probably about right.
That'll tell you something.
Yeah. Texas A&M, after their win, moved up to number 3. Alabama's at number 4. Georgia is at number 5. They jumped 4 spots after a really good win. Oregon is climbing their way back after their loss. They're now number 6. Georgia Tech, man, they jumped 5 spots, man. Georgia Tech is now number 7 in the country at 7-0, man. The Fighting Nerds are just doing great. Ole Miss dropped 3 spots to number 8. I think that's probably about fair to only drop that much. They were playing in Athens, for crying out loud, and they lost by 8 points. Miami fell 7 points. I'm okay with that.
That's just a little bit over 2 per interception.
That's right. That's right.
Excuse me, a little under 2 per interception.
And then, as I mentioned, man, Vandy jumped 7 spots, man, and climbed into the top 10. Anchored down. Good job, Vanderbilt. Man, I think it's fantastic. This game we got wrong, and we'll get into the actual games. BYU jumped 4 spots to number 11. And guess who has made their way to number 12? They're creeping in to that playoff spot, a 5-2 Notre Dame.
There you go. They won't leave them out.
Now, Oklahoma's climbing a little bit. We don't want to talk about that game too much. Texas Tech fell 7 spots to number 14 with that loss. And I'm sorry, Ruby, but it happens.
Listen, we don't vote on this stuff.
Yes.
Right? So all the Texas Tech feedback, I'll call it, that we're getting today after the loss, I guess we got the feedback prior to the loss, but we don't vote in the AP, and look what they did to you. So It's not just us. We're just being real with it. I think the Texas Tech is going to be okay. They're going to salvage a great year, but there you go. It's not just chicken and the dog.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think it's between them and BYU for the Big 12, right? I mean,
yeah, for sure.
And then look, man, Tennessee with that loss against Alabama, they fell 6 spots. They are now number 17. Here's a team that, well, first of all, Louisville, unranked, climbed to number 19. Good job, Louisville. Good job. That was a great move by the Cardinals. LSU, man, fell hard, man. They fell 10 spots to number 20. Texas, even with the win, it was ugly. They fell 1. Cincinnati jumped 3. And then Illinois, Arizona State, and Michigan, all unranked, have climbed into the top 25.
I mean, what a difference a year makes. And even what a difference working through this year so far makes. Now you're starting to see these teams really start to level out. Injuries are starting to take their toll, be it offensive line injuries, defensive line injuries, quarterbacks with a hiccup in their shoulder, whatever. You're starting to see things pan out. LSU had that loss to Vandy, and even though that was a great game as far as the two teams going head to head, look at how much that affects them. And I think, as much Brian Kelly doesn't like to admit it, look at the light that it shines on the Bayou Bengals right now, right? Like, they're not the team that everybody expected them to be this year. Through no true fault of their own. They're playing hard, good football. But I think Whit Weeks was out for that Vandy game. Nussmeier has had his struggles this year. But I think that right there is kind of a microcosm of what you're seeing across college football right now with teams that we thought were going to play really well. But maybe they got bit by the injury bug. Maybe some things here and there just didn't pan out. And all of a sudden they went from high expectations to really not doing that great, not having that good of a year.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll get into the LSU a little bit more, man, when we talk about their game. But why it's fresh on my brain, I might as well say it. You and I both thought that that Garrett Nussmeier was going to be that big difference maker in that LSU squad this year, that he was going to be that it factor. And although he hasn't had an awful season, he just hasn't had that it factor, that Joe Burrow type mentality that I can beat anyone and I'm going to win that game. You say this all the time, right? Put my team on my shoulders, on my back, and carry them through. He hasn't had that this season.
Yep. And there are other quarterbacks out there that we thought were going to be front runners in the Heisman race that aren't even talked about right now. I'll go ahead and say it. Lenora Sellers, I still think that he is probably skill set wise one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But when you spend all Saturday afternoon running for your life, you never have the opportunity to show anything other than escapability. So he's off the table. Right now, for my money, which again, I don't bet, Texas Tech fan, but from where I sit, Ty Simpson is got to be on the top of your list. He might not be the guy at the top of your, but he's got to be in the top 2, top 3 considerations for the Heisman right now, because just look at what he's doing.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck was there until Friday. And speaking of that, let's just go ahead and jump in these top 25 games real quick and talk about this. And lo and behold, guess what's the first game to talk about? A unranked at the time, Louisville, took a drive down to Miami, Florida, and took on a number 2 undefeated Miami Hurricanes, and Louisville beat them 24-21.
There's a phrase that I just don't like that we've got some friends that use it here and there. Well, they didn't win that game, so-and-so lost it. Well, I typically hate that phrase. I think it's a comment out, but I will tell you, in this game, that's likely the case. Louisville didn't win this game so much as Carson Beck wrapped it up with a nice 4-point bow and handed it to them. You can't throw 4 interceptions and expect to win a lot of football games. It just doesn't work. When you're number 2 Miami going up against an unranked Louisville Cardinal, not only are you expected to win that game, you're expected to win it with a fairly convincing fashion. And 271 yards and 4 picks later, they dropped it 24-21.
Yeah, there's usually a number before the interception. In between the yardage and the interceptions, there's usually a touchdown count that happens. And unfortunately, on this one, there was not.
Not Friday night, there wasn't.
It was not a good look.
No,
it was not
at all.
And he did this last year at Georgia, too, remember?
Well, I was going to say my favorite meme, I think Barstool Sports put it out, was of the sloth character from the Ice Age movies wearing Beck's uniform. That was my favorite meme of the weekend. If you haven't seen it, look them up. I don't know how, but Barstool is, I believe, who put that thing out. It's hilarious.
Here's another game, man. They finally climbed into the top 25. Number 25, Nebraska, took on a unranked Minnesota. In Minnesota, so I give him that. And we've talked about Dylan Raiola and how well he was playing this season. Hold my beer, because he didn't. No, Minnesota, the Fighting Gophers, beat them 24-6.
And we talked about this game too. We talked about how it could go either way. This could be the game that took Matt Rule on such a level that Penn State couldn't do anything but hire him away from the Cornhuskers. Or this could be the game that Minnesota typically sneaks in with and gets that upset. And it went that way. We kind of felt iffy about this one, and the Golden Gophers pulled it out.
Do you think that Matt Rule potentially, you think that creeped into the locker room and had an effect on this game?
No, I think that this is just what Minnesota does this time of year. PJ Fleck has done some things in that program to make them believers, and that's just kind of how they end up playing out. They're not ever that team that you look at, they're going to win the Big Ten, but they are the team that you look at and say they're going to mess up a lot of people's schedules in the Big Ten.
Yeah, he's kind of a good coach, man. I kind of like him.
He was one of the big names on everybody's radar several years ago. I think he's found a home at Minnesota. I think he really loves being there, and he's building a solid program.
Yeah, we just have to mention this game because they are the number one team in the country. Number one, Ohio State rolled up to Wisconsin, and we thought Ohio State would handle that. They did, 34-0. Ohio State untouchable.
Untouchable, and Julian Sayin had a dog type of a game, 393 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. But he was going up against the Badgers, and the Badgers are not having a typical Wisconsin year, so an easy route for them.
And I would also say that I think Julian Sayans is probably, he might, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he may make his way up to New York as well.
He very well could. I mean, he's off to an amazing start this year.
He is, man. A unranked Michigan State took on a number 3 undefeated Indiana in Indiana, and Mendoza did what he's been doing all season long, man. 38-13, great win, Indiana.
Great win, another dog-like performance from Mendoza, 332 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. But again, it comes down to that level of competition. The Spartans not having a typical year for Michigan State football. They drop a big one, 38-13.
Yeah, and this next game we're going to talk about, this is for Ruby and all of those guys, that the mayonnaise dude, Bartholomew. A number 7 Texas Tech had to go to Arizona and take on a really good Arizona State team, man. I mean, they were playing good football all year round anyway. And look, man, they lost. Texas Tech lost 26-22. Great game.
Yeah, and Arizona State, again, it was a feeling that we had, and Arizona State really controlled this game the entire way. Texas Tech comes back in the fourth quarter and makes it close by putting 15 up on the board, but it's still not enough. 26-22 is your final in that one, and the Sun Devils come out with a big win in that ball game. Sam Levitt, 319 yards through the air and a touchdown. Great win for Arizona State. Texas Tech, calm down. You'll be okay. There's always next week.
Yeah, Sam Levitt, man, a lot of people, are big and really high on this guy, man, as a great quarterback and could even at the next level do very well.
He's a fighter for sure, and I think he'll be a solid roster pick, certainly for somebody in the NFL.
Maybe he'll go join his buddy Scattaboo.
Could be. They got to do something over there.
Look, man, I'm just going to blow through this. Number 8 Oregon took on Rutgers, beat them 56-10. That's all I got to say about that. Look at this, man. This is the Fighting Nerds, man. A number 12 Georgia Tech had to go to and take on Duke in North Carolina, man. On the road, Georgia Tech beats them 27-18. And Duke was 4-2 at the time, man. So it's not like they were a chump team. And Georgia Tech is doing well, man. They're 7-0.
7-0, and who knows if they'll drop another one until they face Georgia later in the year, and will they come out on top with that one? Mensa for Duke throws for 373 yards and 2 touchdowns in a loss in Durham. Haynes King for Georgia Tech, 120 yards on the ground and a score. Tech is just all that they want to be so far this year, and I don't know anybody that really wants to have to play them.
No, I agree with that. Look, a number 20 Fighting Prophylactics took on a number 13 Notre Dame. I said that this game should be one to watch to find out what would happen with the Notre Dame. And look, man, Marcus Freeman and those guys, they prevailed, man, 34-24. Great job.
I told you the Irish aren't really into that whole thing that they're doing in Southern California.
That's right. This is another game, man. We actually got this one wrong. Texas Tech fans, we are wrong sometimes. We had a feeling, and this feeling was not right. A number 23, Utah, the old Fighting Utes, took on a number 15, the Fighting Mormons, BYU. And BYU is now 7-0, man. It's 24-20. They beat them 24-21. Great job.
Yeah, a close one there in Utah. Somebody from Utah had to win this game, and somebody from Utah was going to lose this game, and that's the way it played out.
Yep. South Florida continues to roll on, man. They are now 6-1. Great job. And this goes to our last game, man, that's in the top 25. A number 22, Memphis. They were 6-0 at the time, took on a unranked 2-4 University of Alabama, Birmingham, and UAB beat them 31-24. Good job, guys.
UAB, let's add a little bit more drama to this, shall we? So UAB going in with an interim head coach. That's right. Trent Dilfer had just been fired from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. The Blazers coming in there with Coach Mortensen under the helm and Ryder Burton making what I believe is his first start for the Blazers. Folks, Ryder Burton is your Gooch of the week. 20 of 27, 251 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception as he leads the Blazers past the Memphis Tigers. Who knew? Don't come back.
Don't come back, man. Oh, Ryder. I love the name, man. Ryder. That's a great quarterback name. Oh, people always talks about good quarterback names. And Ryder, you've got it, my friend. Good job.
You're off to a good start. Look for him in the portal, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Does he stay at AB? I don't know.
Hey, look for him to become a dog of the week.
That's true. If he keeps playing like that against that type of competition, because Memphis is no slouch.
No.
Right? They come in at number 22. They're 6-1 at the time. No slouch there for these guys, but man, he gave them all that they wanted through the air.
Memphis is known for their running game, man, and they just didn't have it. Good job. Let's go into the top 25 games, man. The SEC. Because, man, there are some good ones. It did not disappoint. A number 4 at the time, Texas A&M, hosted or had to go to Arkansas. They had to go to, and that's a tough environment, man. And Arkansas was in this game, man. It was a pretty fun game to watch, man. But Texas A&M prevailed, man. The Screaming Aggies beat them 45-42. Great job, guys.
Yeah, and it's hindsight's 2020 now, right? But as much as Patino is to the offense of Arkansas, when you cut loose 3 defensive assistants, you can't really count heavily on stopping anybody all that well for the remainder of the year. And A&M, even though the Hogs put up 42, A&M comes back with 45. So it's going to be hard to win ball games that way. Marcel Reed, 280 yards through the air for the Aggies, 3 touchdowns. A great game for Texas A&M.
Absolutely. Look at here, man. This game, we thought this was going to be one to watch. And it was a good game, man. I mean, it was really back and forth with the exception of one quarter. But a number 11 Tennessee had a roll into Tuscaloosa to take on a number 6 Alabama. And look, we said this was a revenge game too, man. We knew Alabama wanted revenge from Tennessee beating them last year, and they did, man. 37-20. Great win for Alabama. Great win for DeBoer. Those guys, they're playing fantastic football.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa is a hard place to win if you're not Alabama. It's right up there with LSU, going to LSU at night and trying to beat the Tigers. It can be done, but it's unlikely. And that's what Knoxville ran into, the Vols ran into this past week. Tennessee, I'll say this, still having a much better season than we thought. We said it before the year started, and we've owned our mistake since the year has progressed that we thought Tennessee was going to be a dumpster fire. They are playing really great football. They've lost to Georgia in overtime, and now they've lost to Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And those are your two losses right now. Other than that, I think Tennessee's in a good position. They still own a good spot as far as I'm concerned with projection toward can they get into that top 12 for a playoff spot later in the year. In all likelihood, they're out of the race for the SEC unless things really get topsy-turvy here at the end. But Tennessee played a good game, but Alabama just controlled it and dominated.
Absolutely. Speaking of Death Valley, even though they didn't play there, but a number 10 LSU had to go to Nashville, Tennessee to take on a number 17 anchor down Vanderbilt, the Fighting Pavias. And look, man, Vandy did what Vandy's been doing all season long, which is win. And they beat them 31-24. Great job, anchor down Vandy.
Anchor down Vandy. Pavia lives up to the myth, and he just completely owns this game. Apparently, he was so into this game and the ensuing celebration after that he was not able to come before the press for the post-game conference. You know what? Good for you, Bert. I'm glad you're having a great 8th senior year at Vandy. Bring home as many W's as you can.
Well, I mean,
God willing, this will be you'll finally graduate, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, he's of legal drinking age, but so is his children.
So are his kids.
That's
and his
right.
grandkids aren't far behind. If every touchdown is worth a point towards his GPA, he should be able to graduate.
I'm hoping so. There is hope for you, my friend.
There you go.
I'm gonna speed through this. Ready? Number 14, Oklahoma took on South Carolina. Oklahoma won 26-7. That's it.
Well, as much as I appreciate that, let's just pause for a minute. I love my Gamecocks. I do. I'm going to tell you right now that and this does not come from a position of we should have won this game. No. Let's try and be realistic. Oklahoma came in here for a revenge game. Carolina went to Norman last year and just blew through the Sooners like fill in the blank through a goose. Just that they wore them out last year in Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners never been to the state of South Carolina before. They haven't been here to play Carolina. They hadn't been here to play Clemson. They hadn't been here to play anybody in this fair state. They came in Saturday and made an absolute statement. Lenore Sellers, 17 of 25, 124 yards to the air, and 1 touchdown. No interceptions. But my friends, he spent all afternoon running around in the backfield like the proverbial chicken with his head cut off. Why? Because I think that we had our 4th string cheerleaders playing offensive line. That's going to make for a rough day. I don't care who you are or what name is on the back of your jersey, but give it up to Oklahoma. They owned this game. Torrey Blaylock had a great game running the football, 19 carries, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Mateer was managed through the air, 150 yards and 1 touchdown. Through the air for him, 8 carries for 14 yards. So the Gamecock defense did what they could while they still had wind in their lungs to do it. But yeah, there you go. A long afternoon, not the start to the season that Carolina wanted. And it's not an easy road going forward, but we'll see how they manage it. But Oklahoma's still in a great spot midway through the year.
Yeah, look, and look, man, kudos to Venables, man. Coming back from that devastating loss to Texas last weekend, man, to bounce back and have a great win on the road. I know that the environment at Williams-Brice is not always friendly. It could be hostile. and Oklahoma and Venables. Venables, he's used to playing in that stadium. He's done it a time or two, right? And he handled it well, man. Well coached by Venables, I would say.
Yeah. And that was another question mark that we had going into the season is typically when your head coach starts either calling the offensive plays or calling the defensive plays, that usually means he's on his way out. Well, so far this year, Venables is showing that that is not the case. He's acting as his own defensive coordinator and calling the positions that these guys are going to be in and the defensive looks. And it's working out well for him so far.
It sure is, man. Number 16, Evil, Missouri, takes on a struggling Auburn, man. I feel bad for Hugh Freeze and what's going on in that program right now. I mean, they're not a bad team. Their record, in my opinion, and the same as last year, man. I don't think their record is a good reflection of how good Auburn really truly is. But Freeze better do something, or he's going to find himself on that same seat as Napier. But Missouri did what Missouri's been doing, man. 23-17. Eli Drinkowitz is coaching he's doing pretty well as coaching in that program as well.
He is, as much as I don't like to admit it, the evil one is doing a good job. He actually had the Tigers in position to take the win at the end of regulation, but Bo Pribula throws a long pick deep down the sideline. Hats off to Auburn and their defense for staying in this game and forcing overtime. But more of Missouri is not what the Tigers needed, and Missouri ends up taking this ball game 20-17.
Yeah. Look, number 21, Texas had to go to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Fighting Stoops. And Texas won another overtime game. Texas won 16-13. God, I don't know, man. I look, Texas to me is, even after this win, yes, it's a W. I'll give them the W. But Kentucky is having an awful season, man. Still not a good look for Texas, if you ask me.
I was going to say, now listen, a win is a win, right? And ultimately, that's what the Longhorns needed coming into Saturday is they needed to not lose in Lexington on Saturday for certain. But when you compare stat lines, because everybody's wanted to talk about Arch since the day after he was born, Arch Manning, 132 yards through the air, no touchdowns, no interceptions, lost a yard running the football. Kentucky, Cutter Boley, 31 of 39, 258 yards through the air, one interception, 14 carries for 45 yards, and a touchdown from the Kentucky quarterback. And you needed overtime to win this game, Texas. I just don't know. Obviously, Texas is going to have a better year than Clemson or than South Carolina or than Auburn, apparently. But you're not. I don't see this Texas group making it into the playoff. I think there's still some losses ahead for the Longhorns this year. Obviously, Arch Manning has not figured some stuff out. And I'll say this as a Gamecock fan. Carolina owned Kentucky all night long when they played them. And I know that there's not a transferative property here, but Texas, to be ranked number 21 in the country going in this game, to be 5-2 going in this game, I expected more. I expected a lot.
Yeah, I did too, man. And I was texting Smoking D this morning, and he told me, because I didn't get to watch a lot of this game because I was at a wedding. And my nephew was getting married. That's why I'm in Texas right now. But I was watching this game. He was telling me that it looked like Sark was playing. It's like they had a whole new offensive scheme in there. He says it was totally different. I don't know if they're trying different trick plays and something to try to help Arch and get this guy going. But he said they just didn't look comfortable. I don't think they've looked comfortable all year, with the exception against OU. But they've looked uncomfortable all year.
Yeah. And they've got some things, obviously, that need to be worked out there to start looking like a Texas football team.
That's right. Look, man, unranked Florida hosted a Mississippi State Bulldogs, and Florida won 23-21. It was a close game, but it still wasn't enough to save Billy's job.
Wasn't enough. They went with the throwback unis, hearkening back to the days of Steve Spurrier. It was in Gainesville. a tough place for anybody to go play. The Swamp is still the Swamp, and they are able to hold on against the Mississippi State Bulldogs to win by 2,
Yeah.
23-21. Sorry, whatever. I don't know what to say. Not a big win. I don't think if it had been a big win, if it had been 44-0, I think Napier's out.
Yeah, probably so. And that leaves us to one more game. A number 5, 6-0 Ole Miss, the Fighting Kiffins, went to Athens, GA to take on a number 9, a 5-1 Georgia. And man, it was a game. It was a game. It was a game. But Georgia prevailed and beat them 43-35. They cover the spread of 7.5. That spread moved up the day before the game, man. But, man, what a great game. What a great win for Georgia. I was worried about this game because how well Ole Miss has been playing. But, man, we handled business, and great win for Georgia.
It was a fantastic win for Georgia and a very tough loss for the Rebs and for Lane Kiffin. I thought, honestly, that Ole Miss was going to come out on top in this one, and it looked as the game progressed like that was probably going to end up being the case, even though Georgia was hanging in there and playing well. And as you mentioned, every time they touched the ball, they worked their way to some type of points on the board. It just felt like, and it looked like through 3 quarters, that this was Lane Kiffin's ball game to win. My friends, a certain young man at the University of Georgia had other ideas on Saturday afternoon. Let's talk about our Dog of the Week. Our Dog of the Week brought to you by Breaking Chains Fitness. Breaking Chains for Kingdom Gains, bc-fit.net. BC Fitness in Harlem is their Instagram, Facebook page. Folks, go check them out. They are working to help you build a championship persona, not only as a physical specimen, but also in your spiritual well-being. They are interested in the kingdom and putting forth the best that we can for our Lord and Savior. Breaking Chains Fitness. Your Dog of the Week is Gunnar Stockton. Now, as I mentioned before and alluded to, there were a couple of different guys that I felt might have been deserving in this, but they didn't have the weight in the opponent that they were facing this year. Julian Sayin was one of those candidates. Gunnar Stockton balled out. 289 yards through the air, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, Carson Beck. And then Gunnar puts 59 yards on the board and another touchdown to lead the Georgia Bulldogs to victory against the Ole Miss Rebels. And the Rebels were a-threatening in Athens on Saturday. Gunnar put an end to that and really did a lot for his team, led these Bulldogs to victory.
Yeah, man. Great job, Gunnar, man. I hope you get it next week and the week after and the week after. But look, man, let me say something. Well, first of all, Brian at Breaking Chains Fitness, I think it's very fitting. He was at this game.
There you go.
Pulling for them dogs, man. So that was great. But here's something I want to share about Gunnar Stockton. I know people aren't big on Gunnar Stockton. 26 for 31 was his completion rate. My Lord, is that great, man. He had 10 carries for 59 yards. A quarterback averaging 5.9 yards a carry. There's a lot of running backs that wish they had those stats, man. So, I mean, sure. I think Gunnar was a perfect fit for Dog of the Week. He is a guy. He put his team on his shoulders. And like you said, Chicken, man, they scored every drive, every time they got the ball, man. And so I would say good job, Gunnar. Good job, Kirby.
Don't go there.
I'm going. Great job, Mike Bobo. You called a good game, my friend. A good game.
Whatever. I won't go too far down that road. You'll end up in a cul-de-sac and have to turn around. I think that it was a great win for Georgia, a great win for their season, a tough loss for the Rebels. But that's what happens when two absolute championship caliber teams face off. Somebody has to lose.
Look, man, if those teams can face off again.
Yeah, they very well could.
They very well could, whether it's in the SEC championship game or potentially even the playoffs. I think both of these teams are playoff contenders. There's no doubt about that.
They could also be contenders too. I don't know.
Those, I mean, either one, they both work. Look, man, I don't have anything else. So like us, share us, follow us, subscribe to us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Just for the love of God, tell someone about Chicken and the Dog. You will bless them with greatness and wisdom and maybe a little bit of humor or maybe a lot of humor. But look, man, comment on the TikToks, comment on all the YouTubes and everything else, guys, because that's where these dog barks come from. That's where this dialogue comes from. We love it. We had fun with it. Texas Tech, don't be offended by our words. Embrace it. Love the Chicken and Dog. My tail is wagging. I love you guys. Chicken, you got anything?
Red Raider, tell your Big 12 compatriots to join on. We'd love to insult them too. Other than that, just remember Jesus won and I am all crowed out.
Love you. Deuces.